Army fighter planes are on patrol for flying saucers. Cameras installed to photograph them.
So many objects were being seen in the sky by so many people that the Army Air Force launched an investigation.
Well, we're here at AV Canada, and this seems to be the pilots' forum for jumbo heavy pilots and small pilots, I guess, and all kinds of really angry, nasty people, as it turns out, worse than YouTube even, or worse than most forums I've seen. Some advocating violence against the public in cases of stolen motorcycles and all kinds of things. But let's look at this title. Religious Cult Measures Growth by Annual Dimming Ritual. And it was posted on Sunday, August 10th, 2008. Almost 2 years ago they were talking about global dimming. An expanding and increasingly popular cult is again conducting membership poll of their brainwashed followers by taking the ritual annual roll call of the memberships of those signing into the cult answer present to the new church of dimming in their lights once a year as a measure of their obedience. So that's there. And it has a link to a Montreal Gazette story. I'll link that in the sidebar. Turn off the lights for Earth Hour. So this is something that was just last week again. So the illuminated cross on Mount Royal city buildings and residences across the island will go dark Saturday night as Montreal World marks Earth Hour at 8:30 to focus attention to global warming and the need to conserve energy and promote sustainable development. Citizens and businesses are asked to follow suit and embrace in the dark aid the planet. Now, nobody really shut off their lights in Vancouver last week or the week before, and found that quite funny, actually. But the cult headquarters, earthhour.org. Earth Hour is an event organized by the World Wildlife Nature and is known for the World Wildlife Fund and held last Saturday in March. So these are the people, these guys, the pilots, are blaming the WWF, who know all about global dimming and geoengineering and all these plans to spray stuff from jets, so they're pretty much in the dark as well. Now the responses are quite interesting. A piece of theater designed to inconvenience the brainwashed masses while avoiding any real effect on the planet, blah blah blah, until a bunch of 99% incandescent power guzzlers will continue emitting electromagnetic energy in the visible spectrum. So nothing really. Best stick with the cult that diddles with young boys and tries to cover it up at all costs. That's another person's response to it. Oh, the irony, a guy with a handle that starts with Bible calling out a cult. Another one, yep, the whole thing is a sham. Companies like West Coast Air are supposedly carbon neutral, but I have the feeling that there's little more than just hot air coming out of those 8-inch pipes on either sides of their nacelles. A little more than hot air, so that guy's emitting pollutions coming out of a twin engine or a twin exhaust jet or propeller driven plane even. God bless us, everyone. She will be back. She's black, you know. So we've got racism, we've got all kinds of stuff going on this AV Canada forum, worse than YouTube, and worse than videos that get censored on their accounts. We'll go back to the heading here, because I found one guy's comment quite interesting. This was a Chemtrails post. Well, let's go to the case for vigilante justice first. This was about a crowd killing some women with hammers in some foreign country over a couple of motorcycles. And the last comment was, I thought only bonobo chimps behaved like that, not men or anyone who could call themselves a man. You know, so there's more weird veiled racism in a way on AV Canada, which is, these guys are flying you around the country. On chemtrails, they like to discuss chemtrails, it seems. And they call everybody crazies, of course, and they're probably the guys posting on YouTube that everybody thinks gets paid to post, because these guys are just out of it. Here's a guy who posted something. Global warming advocates and Greens start to target aviation. We are all in a deep public relation problem. And that was a quote, and then the guy says, fuck 'em, bring back the JT3. And look at the pollution coming out of that thing. So obviously pilots, and the F4 Phantom never listened to the Surgeon General either. And so they post a picture of the exhaust of F4 Phantom. Yeah, bring back the JT3. On a side note, I've been in one AN12, like a picture showing below, departing Accra at one time. After realizing that they were not on fire, we could still see the trail of smoke 6+ miles away. in 3 miles visibility of dust. So these guys want to bring back planes that pollute like that. So that's their concern over the people talking about contrails or chemtrails or geoengineering trails with aluminum in them or whatever heavy dense material, dense enough to block the sun and cause shadows on adjoining clouds when they first come out. And one guy in here did make a comment about how the industry is quickly bottoming out and becoming basically a dying industry, and that would back up our learned information that the particulate is down, and that perhaps jets with specific tasks to actually add particulates to the atmosphere are flying and leaving these huge expanding contrails, which ice crystals do not propagate unless there's particulate to adhere water onto or moisture onto after they basically warm up, or else they disappear and become part of the atmosphere again. But if they are particulate and dense particulate, submicron or nano, then basically you have a material that will adhere to a lot of the moisture in the atmosphere, creating fog or whatever. And that's what I think that, from my observations of over 100 days of this operation type spraying, that fog is the goal to be created, which is a blocker of sunlight, also a reliever of rain clouds moisture for building up that kind of rain cloud that would drop rain on you. Now I'm just looking for this guy's comment here on AV Canada. And a lot of the pilots, I must say, really do sort of call out these guys that are just totally ignorant and want to, hand out clubs to people and stuff for justice, and that Canada has no justice system. And I think that basically what we see is the education level of pilots in Canada, and some of them, at least the ones to post, are probably the minority, and I would accept that because I've met lots of pilots. And this is how they get gas in Cambodia, with a bottle and a rack full of bottles. So I was looking, this story of the woman being beaten for stealing a motorcycle really upset some of the people here. And comments like this: well, thank you, I think I finally had enough. The embarrassing narrow displays of comprehension and complete absence of recognition that events have consequences which extend beyond one's immediate actions has put me over the edge. This board seems to be a haven for the thoughtless and intellectually limp, to borrow your term, and undereducated. I must leap to that conclusion given the staggering quantity of supporting evidence. BTD seems to get it, but there are a clutch of posters on here who, given that we share a nation and an industry, make me very sad. What sorts of educations do some of you possess? And I am not necessarily talking about the formal education either. Do you wear ignorance as some blanket that keeps you warm in the middle of the night? It's pathetic, it really is. No wonder our industry is engaged in a full-on race to the bottom. Question, Green Star. Have you ever been to Cambodia, worked there, know anything about it, or its people beyond a blurb in this incident? No, of course not. You haven't, and don't. It was a rhetorical question anyways. So there are pilots out there that know what's right, and we've got to count on those guys that are calling out these people that are laughing at violence and laughing at death, that are pilots as well, some of them, and downplaying it. So basically, those pilots that know that chemtrails are out there and geoengineering trails are out there, what I suggest is that next time somebody exiting your plane says, "Did you see the geoengineering trails?" just give them a smile. It'll give them a bigger feeling that they're not alone in noticing this. And that's my view of AV Canada's forum. And it doesn't look like it's moderated. I probably could find threats if I look hard enough, and I've been saving pages all night. So they can delete them, but they'll still be around.